Welcome back to FedBiz Exchange. I'm Michelle Brown, your coach and your mentor. Today's video is an Ask Michelle B question, and it's a very, very good one. The question is from Darrick. Darrick wants to know more about profit margins with government contracting. He knows there's a lot of money to be made, as we all do, but he wants to understand a little bit more about what he can expect. And it is a very legitimate question. Darrick did a really good job of asking the question and giving examples within 90 seconds. So let's get into it so that I can answer Darrick's question.
Hello, Michelle B. My name is Darrick, and I was wondering if you could possibly just briefly explain what the potential profit margins are. I noticed in this particular field, a lot of people don't really talk about profit margin, million plus, 10 million plus dollar contracts. So, like, for your example, on your YouTube, you did a video on, I think, a $15 million contract for underwear. Um, And I know we'd probably have to, I watched some of your other videos. I know you have to come up with the funding to purchase the underwear and pay for shipping, correct? Please let me know. But what kind of profit margins could you expect on, let's just say, like that deal, for example, that $15 million deal? If you were the sole winner of that contract, what kind of profit margins could you expect? Or could you kind of give me like a range or idea of profit margins? Because I'm looking at this business long-term perspective. And I'm sure it's lucrative, but I just would like to know more particulars as far as what are the potential profit margins. I'm looking to be a middleman between the manufacturer and what the government needs and build a relationship with the manufacturers to supply what the government needs. But I would like to know if you have an idea on what it is, what kind of income possibility is possible, or anything of that nature. I would appreciate it. Thank you for your time.
So, Darrick, the first thing you should know that profit margins are going to have some variables. Let's talk about what those variables could be. Potential profit margins can vary depending on the industry for products or services, either one. But right now, we're talking about products because you want to work with manufacturers. So I'm assuming you want to, or you're considering DIBBS DLA for your government contracting. Very smart move. It's an easy way to get started. But profit margins will definitely depend on the industry that you're in, and some industries have greater profits than others. I'm on the medical side. My profit margins tend to be average, but sometimes they're very good. You need to go back, and I will attach it to the video where you can click on the link and go and watch it. I have one contract where I did medical gloves. I decided that I wanted to make a little bit more, which I did. I made $30,000 off of selling 6,600 medical gloves to the government. Now, my pricing wasn't the lowest, and I did that on purpose because I decided I wanted to make a little bit more. There are other situations where I might only make $5,000. It really depends on the industry because I sell all kinds of medical products. It really depends on what it is. Depending on the industry or industries that you want to work in, that will determine what your margins may look like. There are some other factors I want to discuss as well. It also depends on product availability, like supply chain issues. What if it's during a time in this country where that product that you want to sell is very hard to come by? That happened to me too, where I had to make sure that I could get the product. Maybe I was able to get the product years ago with no problem, but things changed because of COVID. Maybe they have not changed back, even though people are forgetting we still are in the midst of supply chain issues, but it really depends. So you have to consider that. Maybe it's a product that's not available anymore. Maybe it's a product that they're not making anymore. Maybe there's a replacement for the product. So therefore, you could sell some products that may give you a 40% net profit margin, but others that may only give you 10%. It really depends on the industry. For instance, if you decided you wanted to be in the automotive industry for DIBBS and sell to DLA all automotive products, you may find that your margins can be better than average compared to another industry. Also, it's about how you negotiate with the manufacturer. Sometimes the more you buy from the manufacturer, that's the way I make my deals. The more you buy from the manufacturer, the more the manufacturer is willing to give you for a lower price. So that matters too. And you need to deal directly with a manufacturer because you're going to have larger profit margins if you're going direct to the manufacturer that is making the product. Also, that's the reason why I have you guys use a bid pricing template. I sell a bid pricing template in the DIBBS program. I give it to our proteges for free now. That is a product that is very, very, very valuable. You can use it over and over and over again, and I'll show you what that looks like in a second in case you've never seen it. But you need to have some form of how you calculate your pricing and keep up with how much money you're making per industry, per product. Where do you want to be when you sell the product? Like I said, with the medical gloves, I decided I did not want to be the lowest. I wanted to be in the middle. I decided I wanted to make a little bit more than what some of my other offerers or so-called competitors were doing. They were doing $11 or lower a box. I decided I wanted to do $15.95, which was in the middle. I knew what the pricing was, up or down. You have to know those things too. The pricing template will allow you to understand your costs. You can play with it a little bit, up or down. Maybe take your overhead or your margins up by adding a little bit more, but will you win? If you do that, you're taking a chance because government, especially DLA, is all about the lowest price. Secondly, you need to consider what you want your profit to be even before you make an offer. You can determine that. Also, you need to decide exactly not just what you want your profit to be, but if it's worth it to you. It may not be worth it to you. I've done that. I've had situations where I've seen products that I can get very easily. I just saw that recently and I decided I didn't want us to do it. It's not worth the time. Maybe the contract is only $20,000. I don't want to deal with that. If it were $200,000, same product, I might deal with that. So Darrick, here is an example of my product bid pricing template. I use my gloves example, my medical glove contract example, to demonstrate how this works when I put together this template. So if you see here, just follow my arrow here or my little red dot. I actually filled in information to help you guys see how I came up with my pricing. These were the areas. You can't see the entire template because it goes down. It will show shipping and all of those things. But actually, my shipping cost was included in the price of my gloves because I had a good relationship with the supplier. The supplier was in my state. He was a distributor and also a supplier. He has a lot of stores, but I trusted him. I developed a really good relationship with him. So he gave me a product of $11.50 and I marked it up. Here's the markup column for $4.45. So my $11.50 included shipping. That's all of my cost in this case. I didn't have to worry about packaging, none of that. He actually included the pallets, he included the packaging. I just had a really good relationship and made a really good deal. Normally, I could have decided I need to charge the government for packaging and all of that. I didn't want to go overboard, but I wanted to make sure that I was going to make a nice hefty profit. So When you get the template, you will see that all of this adds up. You will see that there are other costs that I could have charged for down at the bottom. I could either raise them. I could even not do as big of a markup. I decided $4.45 per box is what I wanted to make. So the contract came out to be approximately, well, I shouldn't say approximately because it was exactly this, 109,604 and 20 cents. Okay. Our profit was $30,000, and that was an okay profit. This was a very easy deal because I had the relationship that you talk about creating. This was a very simple deal. But what if I had to include shipping? I would put that down at the bottom. What if I had to include transportation? I would put that down at the bottom. Fortunately for me, I created a relationship that was very profitable. I buy other things from Tim as well, but that's because Tim is here with me. I can go to his warehouse. I can transfer to our warehouse. All of these things are within my control. So I make sure that not only am I getting a decent price, but the packaging is done the way it needs to be done, and everybody's happy, everybody gets paid. And also, we only had to put a small percentage down. He was willing to take the rest of the payment because he made out okay. He did pretty well. So he was willing to take the payment after we were paid by the government. So this was a pretty good situation. So let's go back to the $15 million underwear contract per Darrick's question. He wants to know, how profitable is a contract such as this one? Now, I did the video earlier this year for a different reason, but this is a great example for looking at profitability. What I did was, for the purpose of this video, is I'm going to evaluate a portion of this contract, not the entire 15 million, because that would take too long and the video would be too long. So we'll look at a portion of the contract. We'll look at the undershirt portion, which was substantial. So this part of the contract says that this business, under this contract, can offer the government minimum, they will be paid for 315,000 undershirts at $2.50 per undershirt, which will be valued at 787,500. Now, of course, the max amount of undershirts under this contract, it's right here, that can be sold would be 1.5 million. Well, I'm not going to look at the 1.5 million, which could be valued at 3.9 million. I'm just going to look at the 315,000 because the contract says minimum the government will buy 315,000 undershirts. We know that's going to happen. We don't know if this contract is going to allow 1.5 million contracts to be sold, but we do know about the 315,000. That is going to be our example. The 315,000 undershirts per $2.50 for each undershirt will give the value of 787,500. That's what this contractor, this business will make off of this portion of the contract. Now, let's look at the margins for this portion of the contract. Now, let's take a look at the profitability for the undershirt portion of the $15 million underwear contract. So we evaluated the undershirt portion of the contract and found that at a minimum, the government is going to pay the business, the contractor, $787,500 for a minimum of 315,000 t-shirts at $2.50. Now here's where the variable comes in. Remember I said it depends on what you have to pay the manufacturer, what your markup is. So I'm just going to take a wild guess and put a number in there and say that this contractor is paying $1 to the manufacturer for each t-shirt that they manufacture. And that is not unheard of if you're having the t-shirts made in China. They're probably less than that for 315,000 t-shirts. So he has to pay out of that $2.50, that $2.50 per t-shirt, $1 to the manufacturer. So that's $315,000 for 315,000 t-shirts. Then, so his profit out of each t-shirt is approximately gross $1.50 until we consider the rest of the cost, which would be cost of packaging, labeling, shipping, and anything else we don't know about. But these are the only things that come up when you're doing products. So I gave a cost for packaging, labeling, and shipping in the amount of $30,000. It could be more, it could be less, but this is that variable we talk about. So between the $315,000 he has to pay for the t-shirts to the manufacturer, he also has to pay for packaging, labeling, and shipping. Now he could have his own people do it, but it still costs. He has to pay for crates, he has to pay for the shrink wrapping, he has to pay for the labeling, all of those things. Even if he does it at his own facility, he has to pay for it. It's going to cost him, whether it's labor or whether it's materials. Okay, so we have both of those costs together, the $315,000 minus $787,500. Then we take off another minus of $30,000. So his total cost is the $315,000 plus the $30,000. Okay? Both of those together minus $787,500 gives us a profit of $442,500. If you use the profit formula, you will get that this contractor, just for the undershirts, this business made a margin of 56.1%. So he did very well. I'm not saying the entire contract was this way, but we just looked at a portion of the contract. I usually will tell people don't expect more than 50%, but it depends on the deals that you're making. You may be a great deal maker. Okay, and if you do like I do, find manufacturers to make you things, you will definitely do well. So his profit margin is 56.1%. Okay, and Darrick, I hope that this helps you to move forward and stay focused. And if you decide to get in my DIBBS course, you will be moving along very quickly if you stick with the plan and you do everything that I teach you to do in the course.